everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another wrestling news video. First of all, shout out to all my hay fever posse out there. How are you doing? I'm not doing great. Pollen's been bad this week. It's all good fun. But there are more important things to talk about right now, and that is a whole bunch of wrestling news stories from around the wrestling landscape. So, without any further ado, let's take a look at those lovely headlines. First and foremost, a NXT superstar is reportedly refusing a move to the main roster. Next up, the future of a Raw superstar is apparently unclear. And finally, could WWE be bringing back another classic WCW pay-per-view? So, first of all, let's talk about this big NXT superstar who is dead against a main roster debut. And the man himself is none other than the current WWE United Kingdom champion, Walter. Now, there was a similar story a while ago about Walter unwilling to head to NXT, not NXT UK, just the main NXT brand, and it seems as though that hasn't deterred WWE from really wanting him to be a major player in their programming. Yes, on the recent edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer did report that apparently Vince and his team are very keen to have Walter over in the US, but again, apparently Walter is still dead against moving over there. So, a while ago, he rejected this apparent move to NXT, and now apparently he's also resisting this move to Raw or SmackDown. It's a big decision, but each to their own, and if he just wants to stay in Europe and do his own thing, then fair play to him. Walter, of course, has been on a bit of a monster run, especially since taking that United Kingdom Championship from Pete Dunne. The downside of this, of course, is that he is stuck, or chooses to remain, I guess it's fair to say, in NXT UK, and there are far less eyes on him. But if he doesn't have any great ambitions to become a major WWE superstar, then what can you do? I remember the reasons last time when Walter refused to go to just regular NXT. One of the big reasons apparently was that he has a big hand in the training of wrestlers at WXW and in the European scene, and maybe he doesn't want to give that up. This could be for any number of reasons though. Maybe he just doesn't want to uproot his life and move to a new continent. However, Wrestle Talk have pointed out that there could still be a glimmer of hope for WWE if they do want to shift the superstar. That's because apparently back when NXT UK was gathering superstars from all around the continent, Walter was apparently then against going to NXT UK, saying he wouldn't do so, and then lo and behold, he showed up and is now their champion, and arguably their biggest star. It's a strange one, and certainly a unique one, because in the modern age, everybody talks about how everybody, or a lot of wrestlers, want to be a major star. It's all about the ambition, it's all about the acclaim, and it's odd, but sort of nice in a way, I think, to see a wrestler who definitely has the capacity to become a huge star, but doesn't really want to change their life too much, and just seems content with where they are. Once again, you can't really fault somebody for doing what they want to do. We'll keep you updated on this story if anything does change, because after all, things can always change in the world of wrestling. Bret Hart came back to WWE, for example. However, for now, it seems like Walter is indeed kind of resisting this push. Next up, let's go to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, who is reporting that apparently Kairi Sane's situation in WWE is quite complicated and unclear right now. Fightful are saying that Kairi Sane's status with WWE is quite complicated as of last month. She hasn't been on WWE TV since that injury against Nia Jax, when Nia threw her into the steps, she landed on the steps and cut her head, and she hasn't been seen since. Since then, there's been a lot of speculation over Kairi's contract status. Is she going to leave soon? Is she going to stay? What's going to happen? How is she going to be used or not used by WWE? And according to Sean Ross Sapp, apparently as of May, there was a plan in place to have Kairi to move back to Japan and act as an ambassador for WWE over there. One can only imagine that it would be in the interests of trying to, I guess, establish NXT Japan. You know how they want to do this global, what's it called? Global localization, where they've got NXT in America, NXT in UK, and they want to do it in Japan as well. It seems to be like this may have been a key step in achieving that process. However, Sean Ross Sapp does state as well that at the time when this was kind of information that was given to them, they were provided no details as to how this would have affected her in-ring career with the company. They did also ask, Fightful did, about Kairi's possible involvement with some kind of NXT Japan or anything like that, but apparently they were informed that there were no plans for expansion at the moment, which I thought was weird, because I was like, yeah, they do want to expand. Triple H talks about it all the time, but apparently WWE said there are no plans for expansion at the moment due to the COVID-19 situation. Bit of a cop-out answer. We know you're not going to be expanding right now when everything's locked down. We mean the future. But Fightful have said that in the week since, in the past few weeks, everything has gone radio silent with regards to Kairi Sane's future career in WWE, which is very strange. Apparently many people have said very positive things about her and want her to continue wrestling, but nobody knows if she will, which is really odd because it's just another case to me of one of these excellent NXT superstars who are presented to really maximize their ability and their charisma and everything. Remember when Kairi Sane was NXT Women's Champion, how great that was? Yes, she lost it to Shayna Baszler soon after, but it was a great little time, and she looked really good. She was one of the purest and best baby faces in all of wrestling around that time. And then again, since heading to the main roster, she's become really just this really boiled down, almost like stereotypical wacky Japanese character alongside Asuka, basically a sidekick to Asuka. And I know that they were a tag team for a bit, and it's another example to me, what I'm trying to say is, of a really promising NXT talent being really diluted on the main roster. Next up, I've taken a big L because I speculated recently that Renee Young, who announced that she had a big announcement on Twitter, was potentially going to leave WWE and head to AEW. Why wouldn't I think that, okay? Her husband's the champion of AEW. Why wouldn't I think... I'm an idiot, right? Just let me explain what's actually happened. So Renee tweeted about this upcoming announcement right after it was reported that nobody from WWE had called to check on her when she, tested positive. Now she's made the announcement and it's not as dramatic. Well, it is for Renee. I'm sure it's very promising. Let me tell you what it is. So her announcement reads, announcement time. Finally it's here and I can share it with you guys. I wrote a cookbook. I finally handed over my manuscript today. Been writing and cooking my butt off for 3 months and I couldn't be more excited for the rest of the process to get this book to you lovely people. So that's great. I was really wrong. Congratulations to Renee, by the way. Lovely cookbook in the works. I can't wait to see what it's like. Can't wait to whip up some recipes of my own. However, it's not her moving to AEW, and for that I apologize everybody for that speculation. I did stress at the time that it was only speculation, so I didn't say she's definitely going or anything like that. It was just my own opinion, and it was wrong, and that's fine. I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it at all. Next up, we've seen them use Starrcade. We've seen them just this week use the Great American Bash once again. Could WWE be bringing back another classic WCW pay-per-view? According once again to Fightful, WWE has filed a trademark for WrestleWar for entertainment services, namely the production and exhibition of professional wrestling events rendered live and throughout broadcast media, including television, and distributed via various platforms across multiple forms of transmission media. This comes in the aftermath of yet another installment of the whole trademark war between WWE and AEW / Cody Rhodes. And a lot of that revolves, of course, around Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes apparently came up with the names, the concepts of Starrcade and the Great American Bash, and Cody mentioned that this week in the build-up to NXT's Great American Bash, which was going against his own Fyter Fest show. And while Cody did stress that, he wasn't mad about this because it showed his dad in a positive light, it's keeping his memory alive, that's all fine. He also said, though, that he was very confident that their product would be better. Now, I don't know what's prompted this whole trademarking of WrestleWar. Could it be another shot in the direction of AEW and Cody, or could it be a genuine desire to bring about some kind of show called WrestleWar? And if so, what is that going to be in terms of a stipulation or anything? The reason I say that is because in the early 90s, WrestleWar was the site of some of the War Games matches, but WWE already have an event where they hold War Games matches, which is, of course, NXT TakeOver War Games. I don't understand why they'd then rebrand that to WrestleWar if that's why they've trademarked it. But I've just thought of another possible reason. Could this be to stop AEW from trademarking WrestleWar and then marketing one of their shows as WrestleWar? But then no, because wasn't their match with the War Games-esque structure going to be blood and guts? I'm not quite certain. I don't know anymore. I hate this trademark stuff. I wish we just knew the answers. But anyway, the long and short of it is WWE have filed a trademark for WrestleWar. It's a classic WCW pay-per-view concept, one which did include War Games matches at certain points, and now we'll see whether it's even used or whether it was just a preventative measure. And finally, I'm just going to kind of lump two stories in as one here, because we've seen new #1 contenders confirmed in both NXT and All Elite Wrestling. And bear in mind, there will be spoilers here from last night's Great American Bash and Fyter Fest shows if you're trying to avoid those. So first of all, last night, let's go to Fyter Fest and talk about the new #1 contenders for the tag team titles. During the show, Private Party beat Santana and Ortiz, and it was later confirmed that next week at Fyter Fest Part 2, we will see Private Party take on the winners of the tag title main event, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. They are still the tag team champions. Now, I can't imagine Private Party winning those tag belts just because there seems to be something bigger going on in the tag division, bigger than the actual matches themselves. When Omega and Hangman won that main event match, they were then joined in the ring by FTR, who handed them a beer and then took offense because Kenny Omega doesn't drink. He poured the beer out and it almost started a brawl before the Young Bucks arrived to diffuse things, but not really. So there seems to be some sort of larger thing going on with like a three-pronged feud going on. The Young Bucks, FTR, and Omega and Hangman, even though Hangman is oftentimes not happy with his own team, his own ally. All that means that I can't see Private Party winning next week, but on the positive side, it should be a really, really good match. And if Private Party do win, I'm gonna look like, oh, just a massive fool. And now over to NXT, NXT Great American Bash Part 1, where we saw a new #1 contender for the Women's Championship, Io Shirai's Women's Championship. The show kicked off with a fatal 4-way elimination match, and it was Tegan Nox who was able to outlast Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, and Mia Yim to secure herself a match with, presumably, Io Shirai. But unlike in AEW, WWE have not yet announced where and when this match is going to take place. We could assume that it's going to take place next week at the Great American Bash Part 2, because not many matches have been confirmed for that card yet, I think at least. No, yeah, I've just checked now and there's only 3 matches on the Night 2 card, so we could well see it next week, or they could save it, Nox versus Shirai this is, for later. The 2 matches that have been added are a street fight between Candice LeRae and Mia Yim, and Dre Maverick and Breezango in a 6-man tag against Legado del Fantasma, that's Santos Escobar's stable, alongside Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. And of course, there is the match that we already knew was going to take place next week, the winner-takes-all match between the 2 champions of the men's division, Adam Cole and Keith Lee. So that is it for this news video. Thank you very much. If you have a hankering for some more wrestling news and you haven't seen Tom's video earlier today on the channel, then do check it out. Look out for Graded as well, coming out for both NXT and AEW from last night. And most importantly, take care of yourself. Stay safe out there, stay positive, and I'll see you very soon.